The Grand Canal in Venice. Magnificent palaces line the famous waterway. But one single-story building clearly stands out, the Palazzo Venier dei Leoni. For 30 years, it's housed a museum of contemporary art. Its director, Philip Rylands from the UK, is often asked why it doesn't look like all the other palaces in the area.
People see it and they think it's a modern building. It does break the sequence of high, multi-storied Grand Canal palaces along this reach of the canal up to the Accademia Bridge. It is a low caesura in that sequence.
Work on the palazzo began in 1749. It was actually supposed to be 1 or 2 stories higher. There's only a wooden model to show what the completed building would have looked like. Just why construction stopped hasn't been entirely cleared up yet, either lack of money or a quarrel between neighbors.
There's a legend that the Palazzo Venier dei Leoni here was left incomplete because the Cornaro family, who owned this magnificent palace opposite, Palazzo Corner Grande, a masterpiece by Sansovino, objected to the blocking of their view across the Dosso d'Oro Peninsula, and for this reason they prevented legally the completion of the building.
In 1949, the American art collector and gallery owner Peggy Guggenheim bought the Palazzo Venier dei Leoni and made it her home.
This photograph shows you how the house looked in Peggy's lifetime. Much the same, really. We've since restored the roof terrace. There are chimneys up there. Mainly, the main difference is the Virginia creeper and ivy that covers both the front terrace and the facade, which dies back in the winter and gives the building even more the look of an unfinished folly.
Along with Peggy Guggenheim, 14 dogs also moved into the palazzo. And she brought her art collection. The house on the Grand Canal became a fashionable meeting place.
She gave lots of parties. Everybody who came to Venice rang her up, usually with recommendations, and she was as good to them as she could be, and she would have them for drinks, and they would visit the collection, and often she would throw the best parties in Venice in the 50s and 60s. She helped to bring international chic to the city, as well as her wonderful collection.
To this day, the Peggy Guggenheim Collection is considered one of the most important collections of modern art in Italy. A year after Peggy Guggenheim's death in 1979, the building was turned into a museum. Her grave is in the garden. Italian architect Clemente Di Tiene is a regular guest at the palace. He was responsible for its conversion into a museum and knows the property's every nook and cranny.
So the entire plan of this area had to be built as a palazzo. And the seat of the palazzo has been fragmented into several gardens that are now sculpture gardens.
In Venice, it's quite unusual for a palazzo to have a 1,000 square meter garden.
Another extraordinary aspect of this building is the terrace on the Grand Canal. Peggy was absolutely very fond of this terrazzo, also because it allowed her to have a grand entrance, also for her friends and artists and so on.
Once a month, the Palazzo Venier dei Leoni hosts a party. In the museum garden, summer festivals are regularly held, and they're especially popular with young art lovers. Nobody here is bothered by the fact that the building was never finished.
It's magnificent, and its original history makes it different from the other palazzi on the Grand Canal.
I think that's what makes it distinctive and special, as well as being home to the museum.
The beauty lies also in the unfinished, because perfection is not part of nature.
The Palazzo Venier dei Leoni may be smaller than most of the other palaces in Venice, but it's a major name in the world of art.